أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك فاعف عنهم واستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين صدق الله العظيم.
So be mercy from Allah, O Muhammad. You were so lenient with them, and if you had been rude in speech and harsh in heart, they would have disbanded from about you. So pardon them and ask forgiveness for them, and consult them in the matter, and when you have decided, then rely upon Allah. Indeed, Allah loves those who rely upon Him.
Assalamualaikum everybody. Yes, we are fortunate today that we are discussing on these 5 ayats, which actually tells very much about the character of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his leadership skills, and also that he is the mercy to mankind. So without much ado, let me share with you Ibn Kathir's Tadabbur of this ayat. As you know, the verse 159 refers to the Battle of Uhud. Before the battle, the Prophet ﷺ actually consulted with all his Sahaba as to whether they should stay put in Medina and defend Medina and waiting for the Meccans to come to attack. Yeah. However, or the alternative was to go out and meet them at the battlefield in Uhud. Now, the Sahaba and the young companions, after they have won victoriously in the Battle of Badr, were very confident. So all of them, most of them voted for them to go out to Uhud and to meet the enemies instead of staying back behind. Now, here, although the Prophet ﷺ was more in favor of staying in Medina, but he took the majority voice of the companions to go out and meet the enemies at Uhud. Okay, here we can see a few things. Number one, the consultative nature of the Prophet. In fact, in every major decision, in every battle, or anything that's major, the Prophet has always took the opinions of those who are concerned. So we can learn from here that should we also be in that position of leadership, we should get the do a consultative shura and get the opinion of those involved. In this way, not only he will get their commitment, they will be more wholeheartedly be participating, okay, in the decision. And the second thing is that, although, as I said earlier, the Prophet ﷺ was more keen to stay put in Medina and defend Medina, but because the majority had voted to go out to Uhud, he accepted and act on it. So this again, another leadership skill that we should see, that when the majority has voted, then everybody should toe the line and follow what has been decided. Despite the fact that one or two person may not be too, may not feel comfortable, but they have to take the vote of the majority. Yeah. And as you know, in the end, at the end of the battle, it was a disastrous event where, unfortunately, the Muslims lost a lot of lives, about 70 of them, right? including the Prophet's favorite uncle, Hamza. This was because, again, here we can learn a few things. The first, this time, the Muslims were overconfident, right? Number two is they have um, disobeyed, actually, the leadership in the sense that the Prophet did say that the archers were not supposed to come down until they were given sign, until they were told to. But when the archers saw the mushrikins had already went off and the other soldiers were already, you know, going to the spoils of the war, they also felt they didn't want to feel left out, and they therefore came down from their position to take to take the spoils. Now, this was not supposed to be. So here, what happened was that when the enemy saw this, they took the opportunity to come back, right, and attack the Muslims. And that's where the Muslims lost a lot. Yeah. So here we learn the disastrous effect of disobedience or not following the rules, where especially at wartime. So here, and after this very sad incident, still the Prophet did not punish, nor was he harsh to those who had caused this major, uh, loss. He forgave them. So that's why Allah in the Quran commented in this verse that He had this character of being forgiving and merciful and kind to His followers, despite the fact that they had caused so much of uh, problems, and had lost it. They've lost so many lives due to their disobedience and due to their probably greed also. Right? So here, yet the Prophet was forgiving. He did not punish them or anything. Actually, in a battle, for those soldiers who do not follow orders, they can be tried for treason. And the penalty for treason is death. Right? But here, you see, the Prophet has been kind to them. Right? So perhaps we can now go on to the next verse, 160. Sister Farisha, can you read the verse?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن ينصركم الله فلا غالب لكم وإن يخذلكم فمن ذا الذي ينصركم من بعده وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون صدق الله العظيم. If Allah should aid you, no one can overcome you. But if He should forsake you, who is there that can aid you after Him? And upon Allah, let the believers rely.
Okay, here in this verse 160, we see that we are told to put our trust, complete trust in Allah. And that size does not matter, capabilities does not matter. And in fact, if you look at the few battles that were mentioned in the Quran, like for example the Battle of Badr, we know that the Muslims were outnumbered so greatly by the non-Muslims, almost 3-1, right? There was only like 313 Muslims fighting against 1,000. And not only that, the Muslims that were fighting were common layman people. They were not military people. As for the Meccans, they were the soldiers, the military people. And neither do they have the equipments or the horses necessary. Yeah. So here, and yet, Badr was an astounding victory. Why? Because the Muslims had strongest faith, and they believed in what they fought for. And that's why, and Allah sent His angels to help them, right? So we also see, even in the other chapters where they spoke about the story of David and Goliath. David was a small person. He was not even in the in the army. Yet with um, with a stone and the catapult, he managed to kill the giant, the Goliath. Yeah. So in matters in life, it doesn't mean that size, capabilities, power, status matters really. If Allah is not on your side, you can never win the battle. If Allah is on the side, no matter how or disadvantaged you are, and if you have that strong faith, you will be succeed. You will be victorious. Okay? So we have to put our trust in Allah, complete obedience, and have strong faith. Yeah. Okay, can we continue on to the verse 161?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما كان لنبي أن يغل ومن يغل يأت بما غل يوم القيامة ثم توفى كل نفس ما كسبت وهم لا يظلمون صدق الله العظيم. It is not attributable to any prophet that he would act unfaithfully in regard to war booty, and whoever betrays taking unlawfully will come with what he took on the day of the resurrection. Then will every soul be fully compensated for what it earned, and they will not.
Okay, on this verse, number one, it because what happened was that after the war, when distributing of the war booty, some people felt that the prophet was not being fair to them. But again, here Allah comes down the verse that says that it is not becoming of the prophet to not be honest. Okay, here I like to highlight that sometimes we may see things that seem unjustified to us, but we cannot jump to conclusion. Also, you can see this more strongly in the Surah Kaf, the story of Musa and Khidir, right? Where Khidir, Musa wanted to learn from Khidir because Khidir had something, Allah has given him something extra special in the sense that he could foresee things and that he had that wisdom. So, if you remember the story, they made a journey together. And on this journey, Khidir did something that really upset Moses because he felt it was not justifiable. What was that? They took a free ride on a boat. And at the end of this ride, Khidir broke the boat, the fisherman's boat. And this to Moses was so unjustifiable. How can you do a bad and evil thing as this to someone who has just helped you? Because the fisherman had just helped them to go on a free ride across the river. So it seems so unjustified and it seems so unfair, right? But later on we realize when Khidir explained to Musa alayhi salam why he did that because he foresaw that the army of that country will be coming to collect all the goods. And if he did not break this boat, then this boat will be taken away from this fisherman. And not only will this fisherman's family suffer, because not having a boat, they can't go out fishing, and which means that they don't have their income or earns of living, right? But because he had broken the boat, the army did not take that boat and left it behind. And the way he broke it was in such a way that it could be repaired. So actually, for his act of kindness, helping Musa and Khidir cross the river, Allah has actually rewarded them with this boat so that they could not only fish for their family, but but they could provide food even for the whole village, which had no boats anymore because all their boats were taken. So you see, it may seem at our layman level, where, like what Moses felt, it was so unfair, isn't it? Someone did kindness to us, and we paid it with evil, right? So sometimes we cannot judge situation without, knowing the actual story behind it, or because we cannot see the future, or we cannot see the past. We can only see what is in front of us. And that's why we cannot judge in some situation. And in this case, of course, prophets are protected. They will not do any evil or any unfairness. He had his reasons why he had to give more to those people whom he felt deserved more, and not those that were not given. Okay? So here, and again, at the end of it, Allah also says not to worry. If there was really true injustice that happens on this earth, which there could be, not in the case of the prophet, but let's say in our, in this world today, you know that there is no perfect justice on the earth. Judges can be bought, laws can be broken, yeah. People can get out of situation just because they have the power or the means. But here Allah reminds us that don't be too happy, because whatever it is, perfect justice will be what you call this, done in the hereafter. Okay, it will prevail in the hereafter. If you can't get justice on this earth, you will get it in the hereafter. Okay? So here it explains very well, right? It protects the character of the prophet. At the same time, Allah tells us also that not to worry. Don't worry if on this earth you have been, not given your rights. Injustice has been done to you. Be patient, because inshallah, in the hereafter, perfect justice will be given. Yes. So can we continue the verse 162 and 163?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أفمن اتبع رضوان الله كمن باء بسخط من الله ومأواه جهنم وبئس المصير هم درجات عند الله والله بصير بما يعملون. صدق الله العظيم. So is one who pursues the pleasure of Allah like one who brings upon himself the anger of Allah, and whose refuge is hell, and wretched is the destination. They are varying degrees in the sight of Allah, and Allah is saying of whatever they do.
Right, in these two verses, Allah is stating that good and evil are completely unequal. Okay, you can do things that gain the pleasure of Allah, or you can do things that gain the wrath of Allah. And if you do things to get the pleasure of Allah, inshallah, you'll be rewarded with goodness also. Similarly, if you did evil, you'll be reap the same evilness. All right. So there is no what you call this, evil and good is never equal, right? And also, we like to mention that doing good itself also has got a different level. You can do good, but you may only get the rewards of the goodness on this earth, but you may not get it in hereafter. How come? Because not only it's important for us to do good, but it is also important to have the right intention. There was once a story of a man who said, "Oh Allah, I died in this battle, and therefore I should be rewarded with a martyrdom. But Allah said, yeah, you fought in the battle, but you didn't fight it for me. You fought it for to be known that you're a warrior, to be known that you're a hero. So on this earth, he got what he wanted, because that was what his intention when he entered the battle, to be the hero, to be known, to be famous. Yeah. So he got that. So on this earth also, what we should also be aware that when we do good deeds, it's not enough just to do good deeds for the sake of doing and for the sake of getting rewards, the worldly rewards. We should always do things for the sake of Allah. Because when we do so for the sake of Allah, then we will get both rewards on this earth and the hereafter. Okay? Yeah. So intention is very important, and two persons can do the same deed, but be rewarded at different levels because of their intention. Yes. Thank you. Can we continue with verse 164?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لقد من الله على المؤمنين إذ بعث فيهم رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. Sadaqallahul Azim. Certainly, did Allah confer great favor upon the believers when He sent among them a messenger from themselves, reciting them His verses and purifying them and teaching them the book, which is Quran and wisdom, although they had been before in manifest error.
So here, the last verse, Allah tells us that He has given us the rahmah of a messenger, okay, messenger to teach us. Okay, here, as you know, the story of Adam. When Adam was created, Allah loved His creation, and He puts Adam straight into paradise. Okay, and you know the story that Shaitan was very jealous, and he felt that Adam did not deserve this honor of getting paradise without having to work for it. So what he did was, he first disobeyed Allah by not paying respect to Adam. And then he challenged that, he could make Adam lose his status in paradise. Yeah. Now, why did Allah allow him to do this? In fact, okay, as you know, because he refused to bow to Adam, so Allah actually punished him and banished him out of paradise. Okay, but before he served that banished sentence, he asked for respite. And he asked for respite. He said that, give him a chance to prove that Adam is not worth his being in paradise, right? And Allah accepted this challenge. Why? Because Allah knew his product. He was confident of Adam. Okay? He knew that, yes, maybe Adam may be persuaded, but there is a great number two that will be great, better than all the other creations. Yeah. So Allah allowed Shaitan to have his test done, and so Shaitan or Iblis started working his way to trick Adam into taking the forbidden, right? So as you know, Adam did fall, unfortunately, because he forgot, right? But after making that mistake, Adam did ask for forgiveness, and Allah did forgive him. However, despite that Allah has forgiven Adam, he still had to make Adam be responsible for his uh, fault, right? Why? Because although Allah loves his creation and loves Adam, but he also must be fair to his other creations. If he did not make Adam be responsible for his mistake, then the other creatures will also, say, "Oh, this is unfair. If Adam can do that, I also can do it. I can also make a mistake and ask for forgiveness." So that is why that Allah had to send Adam down to earth as a form of, I would say, not say punishment, but as a penalty for having forgotten, for having made a mistake. Yeah, but a mistake that he admitted, and he asked for forgiveness. So that's the difference between Shaitan and Adam. When Shaitan disobeyed Allah, he did not ask for forgiveness. In fact, he challenged Allah to say that, I can bet you this stuff is, it's not of no good. Yeah. And I'll prove to you. See, banished from paradise. He was only given respite some time. Okay, but eventually his his abode is hell. Yeah, there was no two ways about it. But Adam was different. Adam, when he made the mistake, he admitted his mistake. And when he admitted his mistake, he asked for forgiveness. So that's why Adam was given a second chance. So Adam was not banished from paradise. He was just sent down to earth. And the beautiful part about it is that where this verse comes along is that when he was coming down, he was feeling very sad because, he lost paradise and he's not sure where he's going. He doesn't know how his life will be on earth and so on. So Allah pacified him and said, "Don't worry. You have to stay down on earth for some time, and I will send you guidance. I will send you messengers to help you get back to paradise." Okay? So this verse 164, where Allah says, we will, to the believers, we, the descendants of Adam, don't worry. If you want to return to paradise, to your original abode, just follow the message. I will send you messengers. I will send you also guidance, like the Quran, right? To teach you how to get back to the lost paradise, the paradise that you lost. So you see, all of us here is given a second chance. And why? Because number one, we admit our mistake. Number two, we ask for forgiveness. So that is very important for us to know that in this life, we are bound to make mistakes. See, like Adam, we will be forgetful. We will be, so engrossed with this dunya that we forget our actual purpose on this earth sometimes. And therefore, we make the mistake. But if we ask for forgiveness and we admit first, if we admit first the mistake and then ask for forgiveness, inshallah, Allah will help us. Allah will guide us back. He will forgive us and He will give us guidance how we can attain back the paradise that we lost. Right? So this is a lesson that we can learn from this verse 164. Okay, before ending this topic that we are covering, I would like also to share with you some of the Prophet's character, which we did not cover the verses tonight, but which I feel is very of utter importance to the Ummah now. The Ummah of Muhammad SAW, unfortunately today, is under great test. And you know that actually why we are under this great test is because we have brought it onto ourselves. So actually, in this beautiful month of blessed month of Rabiulawal, it's not just that we should be reciting salawats, thousands to the Prophet. Yes, it's good. We should do that. But we should do more than that. We should study the character of the Prophet and try to emulate it. Because as Allah has sent us, He is the best example of mankind. Okay? And in order, and not only Allah tells us this, but even the enemies of Islam also cannot help but say good things about the character of God, right? So it is because of his character today that if we were to follow it, inshallah, we can be the shining light of mankind. But today the Muslims are not. Why? Because of this. We lack in the study of his character and lack in emulating. You know, today our youth are, you know, they see a superstar and they want to be like the superstar, and you know, they want to dress like him, they want to speak like him, they want to do everything and emulate this idol superstar. But nobody wants to study about the character of the Prophet. Okay, without much ado, I just want to point out 5 very important character of him that we should follow. One is his honesty, that he's been called even as-Sadiq and Al-Amin, right? As you know, even his enemies, right, trusted him. And even not only his enemies during the time, as you know, the Jews also kept their any precious things if they're going on a journey or something like that, they will leave it with him, right? Because they know that he's amanah, he's honest. And not only that, his honesty, even the people of the next century who never met him, like historian and non-Muslim historian, mind you, like for example, Thomas Carr, okay? He said that, you know, he cannot, despite, I mean, he's not a Muslim and he's not, you know, too, what do you call it, attracted to Islam, but yet he said he's fascinated with the Prophet's sincerity, okay? That he never lied. You know, there's a story that there was one man was trying to woo his, I can't remember, a donkey or something, that an animal, and he was putting his hands like that, like, come, 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 I've got food for you. So when the Prophet saw this, you know, Prophet said what? You better have real food inside your hand. You shouldn't be tricking even an animal. So you see, even to an animal, we should not lie. What more to another human being? But today, lying seems to be like, you know, something that's, I don't know, it's almost something that you cannot live without. People will lie over the smallest of things, and they say, "Oh no, it's a white lie. Don't worry," you know, or it's a joke. Even jokes, in jokes, the Prophet never lied. Okay? So because this is important, once we lose our credibility, it's very difficult to regain it. And when people don't trust, last time, people trust the Muslim traders. They would rather trade with the Muslim. But now, we are just as bad as everybody, or even worse. We cheat, we lie. And how can people look up at Islam if we don't practice like how the Prophet is? The second thing that today is very sad is that we never saw the austerity and the asceticism, that the simple life of the Prophet. You see, the Prophet at the end of, you know, when the Muslims captured or was victorious over vast lands, that the Prophet had a big fancy house, you know, like what we have today, yeah, 7 rooms, 8 rooms. uh, you know, 3 stories, big cars, fancy home, fancy halls, or whatever it is. No, he still led life simple, what is needed, right? Yeah, we don't have to live the aesthetic life of the Prophet. But today there's so much of wastage. You see, if people, most of them I notice, they will work so hard. Why? Because they want to earn big money. Why? Because they want to have a big house. Why? Because they want to have a big car. How many cars can you drive at one time? How many houses can you live at one time? But you work your heart out. You don't even have time to pray. You don't have time to dedicate yourself to Allah. Or you don't have time to prepare for your hereafter. You spend all your time trying to build a wealth, trying to have a better life. So that becomes the, you know, the all goal in life, right? If we practice less of this, inshallah, life will be happier, simpler. You don't have to stress yourself out so much, right? And not only that, another wasteful thing is we destroy our earth, the resources of our earth. We waste, people waste water, waste everything. Like, you say, oh, never mind. You can throw away the food after all. It's balanced. The amount of wastage of food that we have, and we see the other parts of the world where people are suffering and dying with no food. It is really simple. So this not being able to live a simple life, wanting a luxury life, they're obsessed with it, with all of this. And because of this obsession of wanting to live well in life, that we work so bloody hard just to gain that short happiness. And we do it at the expense of the hereafter, at the expense of the actual goal in life. Right? Next is about bravery. The Prophet, he stands for the truth. He stands for what he believes, even when he had to lose everything. He was against the whole Meccan society, was against the whole economics of, the Kaaba being the center of idol worshiping and so on and so forth. He had to change all this, had to fight against all this. Today, unfortunately, we are all cowards. When we see something wrong, we don't even dare to say it's wrong because we want to hold our position, because we want to hold our power, because we're afraid that we might lose our job, we might lose our status, right? So again, someone quoted, I cannot remember, he said, this world is not destroyed by evil people, but it is destroyed by good people who remain silent when they see evil being done. So that's what we are suffering now, from the evil that we have done, and we have not been brave enough to voice it out. The next is this perseverance. You can see during COVID time, right? We heard there's a lot of suicide, and also amongst Muslims, it shouldn't be. Suicide is the greatest of sins, and yet there are greater numbers of Muslims that committed suicide during COVID time because of economic crisis. We don't have the perseverance anymore, right? If you look at the Prophet's life, he was an orphan. Before he was born, his father had passed away. When he was 6 years old, his mother passed away. Then his grandfather took care of him. Not long, his grandfather was there. Yeah? And he became a fugitive of his own country. He had to escape from Mecca because, his own beloved kid, and, assassination against him. So many things that he had gone through in life. But did he give up? Never. Did he blame Allah and say, why do you give me such a hard life? Did he try to commit suicide? No. So you see, we have lost our perseverance. We have lost our optimism. Yeah. Okay, so this is just some of the small points. I think You have to read the seerah of the Prophet and study, not only to hear the story, but learn what can be learned from the stories that we told. What can we learn from the Prophet? What can we do now to ourselves? And how can we emulate it? Not by wearing a jubah, not by wearing, you know, just having his appearances. Yes, appearances, but more important is we should emulate his character. Okay, with that, I'd like to thank all of you. I'm sorry if I have strayed away or I've said anything wrong on this session, but I hope that this short session will be beneficial to all of us, especially in this hard times, and that we will always look to the Quran for guidance and always look up to our Prophet ﷺ, to be our hero, to be the model of our life, to be our alma mater. Okay? Right, with that, I'd like to thank all of you this evening for giving us an opportunity to do this short brief session. And I would like to thank GDM for giving us this opportunity to do this talk. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.